Good morning, everyone. Today I want to talk about something that both excites and frightens us. Doing something we've never done before. Whether it's climbing a mountain, speaking in public, learning a new skill, or even confronting a fear, stepping into the unknown is never easy. But it is exactly in these moments that we grow the most. Think about the first time you tried riding a bike. It was wobbly, scary, and full of doubt. But you kept going. That moment, the first unbalanced ride, is symbolic of every new challenge in life. Trying something new is rarely comfortable, but always valuable. It teaches us that fear is just a signal, not a stop sign. It is often said that true growth begins at the edge of our comfort zone, and that statement holds profound truth. When we are comfortable, we are safe, nestled in routines and familiar patterns that require little thought or effort. But comfort, while reassuring, can also be a cage. It keeps us operating within known limits, where challenges are few and risks are minimal. Growth, however, is not born from safety. It is ignited when we are stretched, when we are unsure, and when we are tested by circumstances or choices. Consider the lives of individuals who inspire us: innovators, leaders, artists, and pioneers. What sets them apart is not just talent, but their willingness to enter uncharted territory. They constantly seek experiences that challenge them, ideas that puzzle them, and problems that intimidate them. It is in these unfamiliar spaces that they uncover their greatest potential. Likewise, when we attempt something new, no matter how small, we begin to unlock capabilities that would have remained dormant in the comfort of routine. A person who has never tried public speaking may discover a powerful voice. Someone who feared rejection may find deep relationships after reaching out. These realizations only come when we dare to take the first unfamiliar step. What makes stepping beyond comfort so significant is that it rewires our mindset. Each new experience shifts the boundaries of what we consider possible. It makes us more adaptable, more courageous, and more resilient. The fear that once held us back begins to shrink, and we become more willing to explore. With each risk we take, our confidence expands, not because everything goes perfectly, but because we learn to trust ourselves through the uncertainty. That internal transformation is perhaps the greatest reward of all, knowing that we are capable of change, capable of learning, and capable of becoming more than we ever imagined. Moreover, doing something we've never done before often reintroduces us to a sense of wonder and discovery we lose as we grow older. As children, everything is new, every experience is fresh and full of excitement. But as adults, we fall into routines and comfort zones that dull that sense of curiosity. Taking on a new challenge reignites that spark. It reminds us that life is still full of possibilities, waiting to be explored. It opens our minds and hearts, not just to the world around us, but to the unrealized potential within us. This is the essence of growth, a continual expansion of who we are through experiences we've never had before. Stepping outside the familiar is one of the most powerful actions a person can take, yet it is often the one most resisted. We are creatures of habit, and routines offer a sense of control and predictability. However, when we continually operate within our comfort zones, we unknowingly limit our growth. Comfort can create an illusion of progress, but real transformation happens in moments of discomfort, when we are trying, failing, learning, and adapting. Whether it's starting a new career, learning an unfamiliar skill, or simply making a difficult decision, these experiences stretch our capabilities. With every new experience, we add to our strength and adaptability, gaining confidence and perspective we would not have acquired otherwise. The discomfort that initially feels overwhelming often becomes the foundation of our resilience. Pushing ourselves into unfamiliar territory also leads to discoveries about who we truly are. It is in new and uncertain situations that we begin to uncover hidden strengths, passions, and even vulnerabilities. These discoveries are essential because they bring authenticity to our lives. We start to understand what we genuinely value and what we are capable of. The act of doing something we've never done before becomes a mirror that reflects our untapped potential. Each challenge faced and overcome is proof that we are far more capable than we ever gave ourselves credit for. Staying in comfort may feel safer, but it denies us the deeper experience of learning who we truly are through trial, growth, and courage. It may cross with incredible power when it is just our most emotional tajwa, not to the light accept technique. Still, even when we know growth lies beyond comfort, fear often gets in the way. Fear is a deeply human response to the unknown. It whispers doubts into our minds. What if we fail? What if we were embarrassed? What if we're not good enough? But fear, in its essence, is not a warning to stop. It's a signal that we are entering unfamiliar terrain. It shows up when something important is at stake, when we are on the edge of change. Rather than viewing fear as a barrier, we can choose to see it as a compass pointing us toward where the most significant transformation lies. Many of the most rewarding experiences in life, giving a speech, starting a relationship, launching a business, begin with trembling hands and racing hearts. But those emotions are simply reminders that we are stretching ourselves beyond all limits. Moreover, embracing fear instead of avoiding it creates a shift in mindset that is both powerful and liberating. When we accept fear as part of the process, it loses its power to control us. We realize that fear does not mean we are weak. It means we are courageous enough to try. People who appear fearless are not without fear. They have simply learned to act in spite of it. They see fear not as a red light, but as a green one, flashing with growth potential. Each time we confront fear, no matter how small, we chip away at the boundaries that have held us back. The very act of doing what scares us gradually builds emotional strength and self-trust. Over time, fear becomes less of a wall and more of a doorway, the entry point to a life filled with greater possibility and purpose. Stepping beyond what is familiar may be unsettling, but it is the starting point of real growth. cultivating skills we never knew we had. Growth demands that we stretch beyond our routine, that we encounter the unexpected and navigate the unknown. These moments challenge beyond our comfort zones, yet whether it's taking on a leadership role, learning a new instrument, or speaking to a stranger in a foreign language, every new experience becomes a brick in the foundation of who we are becoming. Our personalities, resilience, and confidence are shaped not by what we repeat, but by what we dare to do differently. Yet as we reach for these unfamiliar experiences, we are often met by fear. Fear is a natural instinctive reaction to the unknown. It tells us that we are venturing into territory where the outcome is uncertain and where failure feels like a possibility. But fear is not the enemy of progress. Avoidance is. Fear is a sign that we care about the result, that something important is on the line. It's a signal of emotional investment. Those who accomplish remarkable things are not without fear. They simply choose to engage with it rather than retreat. When fear is present, the first step becomes the hardest and also the most transformative. Taking that first action, even if it's small or uncertain, is what creates momentum. It is the bridge between dreaming and doing, between planning and becoming. The first step sends a message not just to the world, but to ourselves, that we are willing to try. It breaks the inertia of overthinking and self-doubt. Whether it's the first sentence of a book we want to write, the first jog around the block, or the first attempt at a new job role, that initial movement opens up a path that didn't exist before. It is never perfect, rarely easy, but always powerful in how it shifts our perception from fear to possibility. The strength of a first step lies in its ability to transform the abstract into something real. Before we act, our goals and dreams live only in our minds. They feel overwhelming, intimidating, even impossible. But with one step forward, we give them shape and begin the journey toward achievement. Importantly, that first step redefines failure, because by acting, we've already succeeded in doing something we hadn't done before. It is in the doing, not the outcome, that growth is activated. Each time we take a leap into unfamiliar waters, we create new reference points in our memory, new stories of bravery we can draw upon. The first step might feel small in the moment, but it is often the beginning of a lifelong transformation. True personal growth rarely happens in spaces of ease and predictability. When we stay within our comfort zones, we feel awkward, unsure, or even afraid. These are signs that we are learning and evolving. As it creates opportunity for creation in doing something we've never done before may be difficult or intimidating, but it is also a powerful catalyst. It allows us to discover new capabilities, adapt to unexpected situations, and expand our understanding of what we are truly capable of. Over time, these experiences accumulate, shaping us into stronger, wiser individuals. Alongside this growth, however, comes fear, often disguised as self-doubt or hesitation. Fear is a natural emotional response that tries to protect us from risk or failure. It whispers reasons to stay still, to play it safe, to wait until we are ready. But the truth is, no one ever feels completely ready to try something new. Fear will always accompany us when we step into unfamiliar territory, and rather than seeing it as a blockade, we can choose to see it as a companion, one that signals we are moving towards something meaningful. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. Those who embrace fear as part of the journey often unlock strengths they never knew existed, simply because they refused to let discomfort silence their curiosity. Once we learn to coexist with fear, the next great challenge is taking the first step. This is where many people falter, not because they lack desire or talent, but because they underestimate the power of beginning. The first step, however small or awkward, breaks the cycle of overthinking and begins the process of doing. It transforms abstract dreams into tangible action. Whether it's starting a new project, initiating a conversation, or signing up for a challenge, that first act reshapes our relationship with fear and potential. Each time we take action, we are not just moving forward. We are rewriting our internal narrative from one that questions, "Can I?" to one that declares, "I did." And with each first step, the next ones become easier to take. New experiences also bring with them a shift in perspective that is impossible to gain through repetition. When we expose ourselves to different environments, ideas, or challenges, we begin to see the world and ourselves through a broader lens. We recognize that our assumptions may have been limited, our capabilities underestimated, and our judgments premature. Engaging in something we've never done before teaches humility, empathy, and flexibility. It reminds us that we are perpetual students in the classroom of life and that learning never stops. These experiences expand not just what we know, but how we think, how we relate to others, and how we understand our place in the larger world. The more we invite newness into our lives, the richer and more layered our perspective becomes. True growth often requires us to move beyond the boundaries of what feels comfortable. Within our comfort zones, we operate on autopilot, doing things that are familiar and safe. But real transformation begins when we step into uncertainty, when we choose to face the unfamiliar and embrace the discomfort of not knowing what comes next. Trying something we've never done before opens up opportunities for us to develop new skills, explore new parts of our identity, and push past our perceived limits. Whether it's taking up a new responsibility, trying a new activity, or entering a new environment, we start to realize that we're capable of far more than we once believed. This process of stepping outside the known is what shapes resilience and fosters meaningful change. Even so, taking that leap is rarely easy because fear tends to accompany anything unfamiliar. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, or even fear of success can cloud our confidence and cause hesitation. However, it's important to understand that fear is not a sign to stop. It is a natural part of the process. It signals that we are stepping into something important, something that has the potential to transform us. Fear often disguises itself as practicality, convincing us to delay or doubt. But those who make progress are the ones who act despite that fear. They acknowledge it, feel it, and move forward anyway. Each time we take action in the presence of fear, we grow braver and more capable, redefining our relationship with discomfort and expanding the boundaries of what we believe is possible. Once fear is faced and understood, the next most important action is simply taking the first step. That initial move, however small, carries immense power. It transforms our dreams into action and begins a chain reaction of progress. The first step might be awkward, unsure, or incomplete, and that's okay. It's not about doing it perfectly, it's about doing it at all. Taking action interrupts the cycle of fear and inertia and allows us to build momentum. Even a small beginning, like writing one paragraph, signing up for a class, or attending an event, is proof that we are moving forward. The most significant accomplishments always begin with that one brave decision to start, to begin something we've never done before, knowing that growth is on the other side of the unknown. Every new experience we embrace also teaches us valuable life lessons and shifts the way we see ourselves and the world. When we try something new, we don't just build skills, we build perspective. We gain empathy by putting ourselves in unfamiliar situations. And we develop humility by recognizing how much we still have to learn. These shifts are subtle but powerful, gradually changing our mindset and broadening our emotional intelligence. And in the midst of all of this, it's easy to underestimate the value of small efforts. But each one counts. Progress doesn't require monumental leaps. Even a consistent series of small actions adds up over time. A single step may seem insignificant in the moment, but collectively, those steps form the path to real, lasting growth. It's not the size of the action that matters most, it's the decision to keep moving forward, to keep trying, to keep doing something we've never done before. To continue doing something we've never done before, stepping outside of what's familiar is often uncomfortable, but it is precisely in those moments of discomfort that personal growth takes root. When we repeat the same patterns, engage in the same tasks, or stick to the same environments, we limit ourselves to the same results, the kind that force us to adapt, re-evaluate, and stretch beyond what we thought was possible. Doing something you've never done before invites uncertainty, but it also invites transformation. It tests your patience, sharpens your problem-solving skills, and builds confidence. In fact, the courage to break the pattern of routine is often the very thing that awakens a dormant part of ourselves, pushing us toward the person we are meant to become. As natural as it is to desire growth, fear frequently stands in the way. Fear is a universal response to the unknown. It signals that something important is at stake, whether it's the fear of failure, embarrassment, or being judged. It can be paralyzing if left unchecked. But fear should not be mistaken for a warning to turn back. Rather, it should be viewed as an invitation to rise. The presence of fear often indicates that we are on the brink of something meaningful. Those who grow the most are not fearless, but they choose to act in spite of their fear. By facing fear directly, we gradually learn to trust ourselves, realizing that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward even while feeling afraid. Taking the first step no matter how small, is the crucial bridge between thinking and doing. That initial action breaks the inertia of doubt and turns potential into progress. Often people wait for the perfect moment or ideal conditions, but the truth is, no perfect time ever arrives. Action itself creates clarity, momentum, and transformation. Even if that first step leads to a stumble, it still moves us forward. And once we take it, we begin to see that the imagined barriers are rarely as daunting as we thought. Each effort we make, no matter how minor, compounds over time. Trying a new hobby, starting a conversation, or simply saying yes to something unfamiliar can open doors that we didn't even know existed. Every small attempt adds depth to our experience and confidence to our character. What truly fuels this growth and transformation is the consistent practice of saying yes. Yes to opportunities, yes to learning, and yes to change. Saying yes more often means being open to invitations that might seem intimidating or unfamiliar at first. It means acknowledging that while we may not feel ready, readiness often follows action, not the other way around. By choosing to say yes, we make room for experiences that challenge us, relationships that shape us, and lessons that mature us. These opportunities may not always come wrapped in comfort, but they come bearing potential. In this way, saying yes becomes a habit of expansion. It pushes us toward new environments, new people, and new parts of ourselves. The more we say yes, the more opportunities we give ourselves to live deeply, learn continuously, and evolve intentionally. Growth often begins where comfort ends. Our comfort zones may feel safe and familiar, but they rarely lead us to new levels of learning, achievement, or personal insight. When we continually engage with the same tasks, people, and environments, we reinforce what we already know. But when we attempt something new, something we've never done before, we create a space for expansion. We're challenged to think differently, act more boldly, and face the unknown with open-minded curiosity. These unfamiliar situations are not only tests of our adaptability, but also doorways to discovering talents, perspectives, and strengths we might never have known we possessed. True growth isn't passive. It requires us to lean into discomfort and trust that we'll evolve through the process. Even when we want to grow, fear is usually the first emotion that greets us on the path to trying something new. Fear of failing, of looking foolish, or of being judged often silences the urge to move forward. But fear, rather than being an enemy, is often a sign that we are standing on the threshold of something meaningful. It shows us that we care, that the outcome matters to us. The key is not to erase fear, but to understand it, work through it, and take action in spite of it. Those who make the greatest transformations in life are not those who are free from fear, but those who have learned to dance with it, to take risks, embrace vulnerability, and face what feels uncertain. Over time, this builds emotional strengths, proving to ourselves that we can act courageously even when the outcome is unknown. The turning point always comes with the first step, a small, decisive action that breaks through doubt and moves us toward possibility. Whether it's sending a message, registering for a course, asking a question, or showing up to a place you've never been, that first step is powerful because it shifts your identity from someone who wants to change into someone who is changing. And while the first step may not be perfect, it is progress. Along the journey, every effort matters. Small actions, repeated over time, build confidence, skill, and momentum. Even when outcomes aren't immediate or flawless, the act of showing up again and again creates resilience. With each attempt, we build a stronger connection to our goals, and we start to value the process just as much as the result. A big part of moving forward in life is learning to say yes to unfamiliar paths, bold invitations, and spontaneous opportunities. When we say yes, even when we are unsure or unprepared, we invite change. We give ourselves the permission to explore. Often, life's most defining moments come from an unexpected decision to accept a challenge, join a conversation, or take a leap. But in this pursuit of trying new things, we must also remember that perfection is not the goal. Bravery is. Perfection paralyzes. It convinces us we shouldn't begin until we are flawless. But bravery frees us. It allows us to try, to stumble, to learn, and to grow. It's not about getting everything right the first time. It's about having the courage to begin, to continue, and to improve. When we stop aiming for perfection and start acting with boldness, we unlock a life that is richer, deeper, and more fulfilling than one carefully confined to what we already know. So the next time you feel that flutter of hesitation before trying something new, take it as a sign that you're on the right path. Growth doesn't come wrapped in certainty. It comes in the form of effort, risk, and learning. Life becomes truly meaningful when we step outside what is predictable and allow ourselves to explore the unknown. You don't need to be fearless, perfect, or fully ready. You only need to be willing, because everything you've ever dreamed of becoming starts with doing something you've never done before.